Hi friends, welcome to How to Share Your Faith. And again, we want to give you tips and insights on the whole process of influencing other people for Jesus Christ. Today I want you to meet Erich Soilless, atheist and slayer of Christians. He was outstanding in that area. And I want you to hear his amazing journey toward Christ. So this is Erich Soilless.
Hey Facebook friends, thank you for your time today. My story is really long, so I'm going to give you the shortest version possible. I was raised Greek Orthodox, dipped in the golden bowl and baptized at birth. I went to church almost every Sunday with my parents, every Easter and Christmas for sure, and I learned three things. One, I would never be good enough to have a personal relationship with God. Two, a lot about fear. And three, if you ask the Sunday school teacher every Sunday, why didn't the lions eat the zebras on the ark? It really made him mad. My father, for lack of a better word, was a Tasmanian devil. His weapon of choice was the belt, and if he couldn't get that off fast enough, a closed fist would work just fine. If I hadn't lived through it myself, I wouldn't believe my own story, how another human being can do that to a child. My mother, in dealing with her pain and suffering, became an alcoholic. The worst kind, I would call it periodic. So she'd be sober for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and you never knew when it was going to hit. But when it did, it hit hard, and it would actually be worse than I ever thought it could be. She attempted suicide a few times. The last time I remember like yesterday is she slit her wrists. But if you want to kill yourself and you do it the right way, you run parallel with your veins. And that's what she did. But the doctors were able to save her. But they left these wicked scars that I could see every day, and I would call them the scars of shame. And it reminded me of what living hell I was in. To move forward, I needed to get out of the house. But how do you get out of the house at such a young age? Sports was my only way out. So I played baseball, I wrestled, I did track, ping pong, tennis, anything that I could get in my hands. And I learned two things really quick. One, I was a validation junkie. And two, I had this crazy self-discipline. So with the self-discipline, if I practiced harder than you, if I worked harder than you, I got the "that a boy, Soilless." Way to go, Soilless. You're starting on Saturday, Soilless, and that filled the empty hole that I had. But one day my father had beaten me pretty bad with the belt, all over my body. I had belt marks on my face everywhere, and my mother had taken me to see the priest. And I'll never forget, it was like yesterday. She asked him for help, and he looked right at her and said he probably deserved it. Now that hit me like a bolt of lightning that day. That made me realize that I'm on my own. Nobody's coming to my rescue. And this is something that I have to do myself. All my prayers were unanswered. So I took that crazy self-discipline into the secular world. And I worked really hard. And when I realized that I was a self-centered, ego-driven, atheistic control freak, busy building my own kingdom, and I was doing really well at it. If you got in my way, I took you out. I didn't care about anybody at the time. My wife and I started a construction company, and we were very successful at it, making millions of dollars. And from the outside looking in, we looked happy. But on the inside, we were both dying inside. One day I was driving down Etiwanda Boulevard, and I'll never forget. I had the house, I had the car, I had the life, the toys, the vacations. I had everything that I had ever worked for. And I'd never felt so empty. I had nothing. I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. I considered myself a successful man, but completely empty on the inside. What happened? God put so many people in my life that I can't mention them all today, but two critical things happened. One, my wife. My wife was dealing with her own demons. She was living a challenged life, and I was too busy building my own kingdom to worry about her whatsoever. One day she had went on a walk and came home and said, I'm going to start going to church. Now you got to let me stop right there. And please remember, my wife knows I hate God, I hate the church and the Christians that are in it. So for her to come to me, she knew it was going to be bad. It was going to be bad for her. But her love for me made her come to me and tell me that she wanted to come to Christ. So I did what any loving and supporting husband would do. I told her, good luck, you're on your own, and this will probably be the end of our relationship, and it's all your fault. Every Sunday when she would go to church, I'd be faking that I was asleep in bed, and they'd leave the house. I'd pretend everything was okay. But one day I got curious. I told myself, what is this cult doing to my family? I want to go see. So I went to church with them one day. We started going to church every Sunday, and I just told her I was coming for the donuts and coffee. And then one day we were standing at church and she was reading the growth group brochures. I was sitting on the couch next to her, and I made eye contact with Kent Tucker. Now I knew from a million miles away that was going to be trouble. As he approached me, I put my hand out and I said, stop right there. I don't believe in any of this God stuff. And he said, really? And I said, really? And he said, that's a great reason for us to go to lunch then. Now you got to remember, I'm thinking in my mind, he has no clue who I am. I'm the Christian Slayer, and I will devour him for lunch. So Kent looks at me and says, Corky, Thursday, 12 o'clock. And I said, all right, I'll be there. So I went home and Googled why God wasn't real, and I got 3 pages in small print. And we went to lunch. And I'll have to admit, I was very bold and arrogant and full of myself, and we got right to it immediately. All right, Kent, pain and suffering. Explain that one to me. Good question, Erich. Hang on a second. You go through the Bible, turn the book around and say, read this. All right, fine. Hitler and Stalin, how about that one? Another great question. Hang on a second, Erich. And he'd go through the Bible and he'd hand it over to me and ask me to read. I was like, all right, I got you on this one. Earthquakes and tsunamis. Fantastic question, Erich. He'd go through the Bible, turn it around, and have me read it. Now, I got to tell you, it really made me mad because he made me read it every time. I did not want to read it. We went to lunch for almost 2 years, every Thursday at Corky's, and I came at him violently, arrogantly, full of myself. But I got to tell you, in time, it all started to make sense. It needed to make sense to me. The Holy Spirit started to wrap around my heart, and I got to say, it was blowing my mind. One day I was having lunch with Kent, and I told him, I want to get baptized. And he says, have you given your life to Christ yet? And I said, no, I haven't. And he says, do you want to? I said, yes, I do. And he goes, let's go do it right now. We went into my truck. Kent said a prayer, and I gave my life to Christ. And I cried for what seemed like hours. It felt like there was this 10,000-pound weight lifted from my chest. And my life was never the same. What is my life like now that I'm a devoted follower? Is my life easy? Is it perfect? No. God never promised me a perfect life. He promised me a full life and that he would never leave my side. The relationship with my wife and all my kids are stronger than it's ever been. Now, is that perfect? No. But I have the tools. And with my family, we take ground together every day. I'm leading a Bible study that the church asked me to do 4 years ago, and it's still going strong. Way to go, GHWs. A while back, my church asked me to be the leader of men's ministry. And the guys at CCV, Their hearts are on fire for Jesus Christ, and they make my job so easy. At dinner time, my kids fight over who's going to pray at the dinner table. All right, who wants to pray tonight? I'll pray. No, you can't pray. You prayed last night. No, it's my turn. You prayed. Time out. Why don't we all pray together? 4 weeks ago on a Tuesday night, my wife and I just finished a Bible study, set the alarm, locked the door at the church, and I'm giggling as we're walking away. And she's like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "Cal, 2 people that were just so far from God, busy building their own kingdom, just set the alarm and locked the door to the church. And now we're building God's kingdom." My message to you is hope. I've had so many people at the end of my story come to me and say, "Erich, you lived such a hard, challenging life. Would you change anything?" And I tell you now, no. I wouldn't change a thing. God has been training me for this very moment, my whole life, to talk to you, to tell you, you don't need to get it together before you come to church. Church is a hospital for sinners, not a museum for saints. It's okay to be broken because God is still molding you. And when there's people in your life, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, that you feel hopeless for, I'm telling you right now, I'm humbly telling you right now, that I am living proof that God still performs miracles. Amen.
It was not outstanding. Listen, this guy loves God with all of his heart. So does his family. She is leading the women's ministry. He's leading the men's ministry at their church. And just all kinds of people are coming to Christ. And, Erich has been on the dark side, and he knows a life without Christ is empty. And so it pushes him further in the other direction because he's found the truth. Kind of like the Apostle Paul. He was going the other direction. It doesn't work, and he went hard after Christ. And that's Erich Soilless. That's his family. Kelly, his wife, she's awesome. And I knew that you would enjoy, because if there's hope for a guy like this, then there's hope for the friends around you. And you can hang in there and keep praying. Your prayers really make a difference. Your love really makes a difference. Your reaching out to them really makes a difference. Keep on keeping on. God bless you guys.